on X and other platforms. There was an attack in Ebonyi State, southeast Nigeria. We understand that suspected herdsmen attacked Amegu Nkala community in Ishelu local government area, killing yet to be ascertained number of people. It's a developing story, and we'll also be touching base with Ebonyi State this morning, and it's something you definitely don't want to start the week with.
Not at all. It's quite unfortunate, these things. This attack, we don't know how many people were killed, so the authorities of the police should be joining us to bring us up to speed, update us as we touch base with Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, to find out exactly what happened, who are those responsible, the number of casualties, and especially what the authorities are doing to stop this mess. That's exactly what we'll be doing today on the program. So it's a packed show. So just be part of it. Join us on X. CTV Morning Brief is the hashtag you can reach us on, so that we can have that conversation right here with you and amplify your voice. Also, the WhatsApp number is on your screen, at the bottom of your screen, so you can send your videos and messages only, so we can also amplify your thought and your voice. There's a lot to talk about in Nigeria. We give the opportunity for us, so give you the opportunity for you to say what you have to say, because you have a right to say what you have to say. Hey, but besides that, let's head to what the headline. I almost said the head is.
Very soon, in a few weeks, we'll have the head.
In a few weeks. All right, let's go to what the headlines, the dailies are saying. I think let's begin from the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian today, Monday, is saying anxiety over oil output exploration as 55 licenses expire this year. Okay.
A story.
That headline in itself is a full story.
It's a full. It's decades of story, or stories, as the case may be, that you're seeing right there. Naturally, our oil industry has been one of the most intriguing, not in Africa, in the world. I think it is in a class of its own. Some of the stories that
in a
come
class
out,
all by itself.
as in some of the stories that come out of that industry, some of the things that go on in that industry, a lot of people would be shocked if they knew the full story. So more importantly, how will this affect oil output, right? How will this affect Nigeria's revenue? That's basically what this headline is saying, because our oil output is tied to our revenue. So
and enough said on this. So if you go to the front page of the Guardian did a great job by telling you companies holding PPLs, average target daily production, and all of this. Some of this, for instance, the one with the Shell, by the time it will come up to maybe 2029. So there are so many things in the oil industry. If our oil industry is not working, leave all the talk. We're going to suffer. So that's why anything that has to be done to ramp up production has to be done. At least in the immediate term, we don't have that level of source of revenue like crude oil for now. Let's go to Nigerian News Direct. 2027, wait for next election to test your popularity. Presidency tells opposition figures. Political tensions, fight is ahead, not now. Spokesperson Dare Atiku accuses Tinubu of promoting snatch and grab agenda, undermining democracy. So some of us are not surprised when politicians are being politicians. So they are beginning to make that political move, and there's a lot on the table of the president to fulfill his promises. He said there are some action he's taking, like between policies of the economy that's going to hurt us in the immediate term, but in the long term is going to be good for the country. We're counting down to 2 years in office. Nigerians are not that patient, so something has to be done. For the average Nigerian, I can talk about the big things about macroeconomics and all the analytics. That is not for this morning. What the Nigerian is concerned is, when we're done speaking all that English, I go to my 12. How much is rice? How much is tomato? How much is beans? How much is oil?
Right.
How much is tomato? How much is all of this? That is how Nigerians assess good performance, not the grammar we come and speak with our experts now. It's none of their business.
They've said time and again that Nigerians are not really hard to please.
Not at all.
Do the basics. Nigerians, in fact, right now, Nigerians are still very patient. So imagine if you were to give them that basic. You'd be a god, certainly, with a small g, of course. Let's turn our attention to the Nigerian Tribune. Similar headline on the front page of the Tribune. And you see it's about 2027. I know, we're barely midway through 2025, right? And it's 2026. But hey, politicians are already in 2026, December. They're preparing to get into 2027. So the Nigerian Tribune leads with this. 2027, Northern Leaders Coalition Proponents write off PDP. So what are these proponents who are writing off the PDP? Well, the explainers are under. It says ex-military leaders, other stakeholders endorse coalition. Proponents may announce new platform late February. Leaders yet to agree on presidential standard bearer. LND playing lead roles. Source, what's LND? Tinubu not worried by gathering of opposition presidency. So the conversation around the North prepping to possibly put a candidate in for the elections is always very interesting one. Everybody, by the way, every Nigerian is qualified to run. But there's this unwritten agreement of sorts that power rotates from south to north every 8 years. So you had former President Buhari do 8 years. And the expectation of some is that President Tinubu or someone from the south would complete the 8-year tenure for the south. But you know, the PDP is quite interesting because PDP says we did not agree with you people, right? At this rate, we can put up anybody to run for presidency. But more importantly, as Jeffrey said, is the issues at hand. But you can't stop politicking. Yeah? It always continues.
It will continue. For us, let politicians be politicians is a good talking point, by the way. So they can engage. Mine, as long as they're not killing themselves, as long as it's just rhetoric. But to say that the president is not worried about coalition, that's not essentially true. They may not show it, but these are political statements, you know. Nobody, Nigerians are very angry to an extent with the president, even though they are patient that he's made life difficult for them. But he's explained and explained. Barnabas will say he will explain tire, but he's keep explaining. So to say the president is not worried, that's not true. I don't believe that.
But who is the opposition? Which of the oppositions? Because when you look at the PDP, Jeffrey, you don't see what you want to see. Yeah. When you look at the Labour Party,
that's why we're on them.
You don't see what you want to see.
That's why we're on them. Because I remember many years ago, I wrote an article on, and I published it on my page. But I was talking about this. We need to have the ideal of two choices at the minimum in any democracy. It is not safe for democracy to have one party. It is not safe in any democracy. That's why in America, for instance, you're clear on what the Democrats stand for. You're clear on what the Republicans stand for.
Not to have the mushroom candidates and parties here and there.
Every year, there are so many parties. People don't know there are so many parties in America. A lot of parties, I think more than even Nigeria. But those two parties, they are always at loggerheads. Everybody's fighting for it because it's ideologically driven. You may question the rationale of that ideology. That's a different kettle of fish. But here, you know, the opposition, they need to get their acts together. PDP has not been able to hold neck. By the way, APC has its own problem. APC itself has not held its own neck. You know, just that they're empowered. When people are empowered, they have a way of managing their crisis because power is a tricky game. So I can't remember when they held their neck.
Dissenting voices are there, but they are sort of quiet. Either they've been
Labour Party is another kettle of fish entirely. At least these are the frontliners when it comes to. So it's important that the opposition, when the APC was in opposition, we felt what an opposition was. They gave the PDP a run for its money until they kicked them out of power. That is the kind of formidable opposition we need. They even have a greater majority in the House of Reps at some point. I don't know with all this defection what's going on.
Well, that's the PDP?
Yeah, no, not the PDP, opposition now. APC versus opposition.
Right.
When a collective of the opposition at the beginning of the 10th Assembly, they were in the majority.
Right.
But I don't know, they were not able to put their acts together.
Certainly not.
So it's not safe for us to have a one-party state. It should not be allowed to happen. It can never happen. You saw what happened when the APC was in opposition. The PDP felt the heat. That's what it means to be in opposition. So maybe as Nasser Rufai said, he's now suggesting on how the opposition can coalesce. He says he's not in the opposition yet, but it looks like it's on his way out. We don't know yet. But it could also be a game. I'm seeing a game being played out here.
Right.
In party politics, there are those that are loyal to the party. There are those that are on espionage activities to the next party, to be like moles.
In other words, don't take politicians too seriously.
Don't take politicians
you don't
too
know what's
seriously.
happening behind the doors.
When they say go left, please run right and look very far, because it's a game.
Definitely. Business Day is next on the lineup. Just quickly take a look at the front page. Naira hits 8-month high as dollar demand eases. Is it a function of the season we're in? Is it something that will continue? Well, certainly this is something we hope will be sustained. Naira hitting 8-month high as dollar demand eases. I see market sees effect of local petrol refining, FM's inflows. Dangote, for example, releasing a statement some days ago saying petrol is now below 900, right? At least that's what you get at the ex-depot price. So perhaps we're going to be seeing petrol drop even further, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
500 won't be bad.
You know, 500 is a tall order. Let's just hope that crude oil prices,
because bad, right?
the big, that's the aspiration. That's the idea of a free economy or a market-driven economy.
Right.
So I don't know whether to say because if Trump is saying drill baby drill and OPEC increases quota, that naturally means that prices will come down because we'll have lots of supply. So if we come to say about $60-something per barrel of crude oil, or even 60, is not going to be good for us in terms of revenue, but it's good for us consumers, because crude oil is the biggest component in terms of cost when it comes to PMS price. So we cannot do, for instance, the Naira is now 1,400 and something. So all of them work together.
In which of the windows?
The FMs, at least where the CBN monitors, so the black market should be around 1.5 and all of that.
Exactly.
Or the parallel market, as they call it. We don't like to talk about that. But at the end of the day, let's see stability. Stability is what the government aspires for. Then we can begin to talk of growth maybe later on in the quarters of this year. But stability and strengthening, let's see how it plays out so that you can predict outcome.
Right.
That's the most important part. So that if you're making an investment, your real rate of return is guaranteed. When you take out inflation and the volatilities of FX, you now have some coins. So even if you're in the deficit is not that high.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, it's a packed show. PDP politics, road crashes and incidents of death on the road, attacked by herdsmen, suspected herdsmen in Ebonyi State, as well as women in business, and of course, a creative talking to us. That's all we'll be doing today on the program. So it's going to be a very quick-paced or fast-paced conversation. Join us again in just a moment.